Impact confirmed. The Slayer has been activated.
Demonic threat level increasing.
Hold the line!
All the power of hell cowering before one man.
id Software presents Doom, The Dark Ages. Available now on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC.
Rated M for mature.
This is the Roger Stone Show, presented by Colonial Metals Group.
A man who's gone through hell, but he's kept going, and he's smart, and he's strong, and people love him. Not everybody, but people love him and respect him. Roger Stone.
Now, here's Roger Stone. Now, it's time for Protecting Your Future, sponsored by Colonial Metals Group. Here's Roger Stone.
While we celebrate President Donald Trump's historic win, don't be fooled, folks, because inflation continues to drain the value of your IRA and your 401k. And China is targeting your money with a kill shot at the U.S. dollar. That's why thousands of Americans are shielding their savings with precious metals like gold and silver, and why they're contacting the Colonial Metals Group. The Colonial Metals Group are the only folks I trust to help you bulletproof your wealth, and you do it with gold. So go to freegoldguide.com/stone to get all your questions answered. That's freegoldguide.com/stone. You'll be glad you did. Joining me now is the man himself, Paul Stone, an Air Force veteran who became a broker, then a financial planner, until he started talking, thinking, researching, studying about the value of precious metals like gold and silver when it comes to protecting your nest egg, your retirement. He is our sponsor here, and we're glad to have him. Paul Stone, welcome to the Roger Stone Show.
Yes, sir, Mr. Stone. I'm so glad to be back on. Great to talk with you. Hope you're well.
I'm doing great. A disclaimer right at the top. Paul Stone and I are not related, but we think so similarly that we could be. We are very excited about this election. Paul, of course, was personally a supporter of the president. We were exchanging texts furtively in those final days, praying for what would come, the greatest victory, the greatest comeback in American political history. So, Paul, that's a good place to start. Your thoughts, your impressions on the event of this tumultuous victory by Donald J. Trump.
You know, it's thank you for asking me that, because I love to speak about this. I'm so inspired, just purely by a human being who wanted something, wanted to give something. So he's not going to the White House for fame and fortune. He already has that, right? So many others are probably motivated by that lofty position to fulfill their value or give them validation that they're a great human being. Look what they accomplished. They're the president of the United States. Donald Trump wanted that post to make in the country that has given him so much opportunity, a builder that had never done anything, his father in Manhattan. Very hard to break into that real estate market. And Donald Trump and what America was and what it was before he started making a foray into the Manhattan segment to the real estate market there in New York, and skyscrapers are built. And how did he always try to get his projects going? He would go to a neighborhood that wasn't so hot in Manhattan. And there's still some neighborhoods that aren't so hot in Manhattan. And he would go and he would find a building that he could improve, that he could restore, that he could bring back to grandeur and bring the neighborhoods, the quality of living back up in that little piece of Manhattan. He would go to the city, county, state officials and say, listen, I'm going to do a lot of improving here. Help me out. Let's partner in this. Give me some tax credits. Give me 10, 20-year worth of tax credits in the city when I do this project. And it was always he comes from the corporate world that knows how to negotiate with the municipal or governmental world to get great things done together. He's not a solo act. He knows how to coordinate and collaborate with all of the different parts that are needed to make something incredible. When he looked back through, if he looked west and south through his, apartment, I'm sure, out his window, he would see the country in struggle. He would see it in erosion, and he fought to be in position to make some great changes for the country he loves so much. Then he had to fight like hell to get back there. And so what I see in this election is literally like Braveheart. Sylvester Stallone introduced him recently as George Washington's second coming. The difference there and the commonality with Braveheart is Washington was fighting a visiting army. He was here in the United States of America, the colonies, and he was fighting an army and navy visiting from another place, England. This time around, Braveheart had to fight the oppressing army already in Scotland, already in the land. He had to try to kick them out. And that's what I see Donald Trump, that inspires me as a human being, as someone with a beating heart in my chest, that just is impassioned by the fact that he never quit. He never quit coming. He just brought it and brought it and brought it, and spent a lot of his own, health resources and financial resources and relationship resources to get the job done. And he won. And that's inspiring to me.
Yeah, I think his victory is a testimony to his persistence, to his resilience, to his indestructibility. I mean, this is not just a guy who won an election. They tried to bankrupt him in an illicit proceedings. They tried to lock him up when they couldn't identify any crime for which he should be locked up. They tried to keep him off the ballot in all 50 states. Now you add on top of that the constant vilification in the fake mainstream media, and through it all, he never flinched. He never bowed. He never. I'm sure he had his moments. Everybody privately does, but the man is a lion. I mean, I worked for Richard Nixon. He was a tough guy. I worked for Senator Bob Dole. They told Bob Dole that he would never walk again, that he would never have the use of his arms or his hands again. But through just sheer grit, he had an amazing physical comeback after serious injuries in Italy in World War II to become one of the greatest U.S. senators. He was a very tough guy. He would have been a great president, but neither one of those gentlemen, both of it was my pleasure to work for, has the toughness of Donald Trump. Someone once said he has ice water in his veins. And, well, when someone's negotiating for the United States, that's exactly, in my opinion, what you want. Hamas has already announced they want to end the hostilities with Israel. The Russians and the Ukrainians have made it clear that they would like to get a settlement to stop the killing. But the New York Times reports today that the Biden administration has yet again, through NATO, told Ukraine that they can use American-supplied NATO long-range missiles to hit targets deep inside Russia. At the same time, Anthony Blinken, our Secretary of State, says that we're going to get every dollar out the door we possibly can to Ukraine before Donald Trump comes in. These people just seem committed to war, endless war. Just the fact that there's no peace talks going on, there are no negotiations going on, tells you their intention. Let's talk about our favorite subject, and that is gold and the role of precious metals in folks protecting their nest egg, protecting their retirement. I do think that people who say, oh, well, now that Donald Trump's going to be president, I don't really need to think about investing, not investing, but taking positions in gold to protect their assets. I think that's a misnomer. The wild spending is going to take time to stop, to slow down. Trump is committed to do that. But we are also, this plan that the globalists have to move us to a digital currency, if they can't do it in the next 4 years, doesn't mean they won't try to do it sometime down the road. So I think protecting your retirement with gold or silver is still a good idea. Now, I've written 2 biographies on President Richard Nixon. There are warts in all books. I recognize that all of our presidents have flaws. Richard Nixon's single greatest mistake was closing the gold window, taking us off the gold standard. And he did that at the behest and because he was persuaded by Treasury Secretary John Connally. Connally, who had, of course, been governor of Texas, famously wounded with JFK that fateful day, November 22nd, 1963, later became a Democrat for Nixon, then became a Republican, ran disastrously for president in 1980. So when we come back, I'm going to ask Paul Stone whether he feels as strongly as he did just before the election that folks need to protect their future. Gold has always played that role in American history. So I want you to stand by for that answer. If you're just tuning in, this is the Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Audio Network, and we'll be right back with Paul Stone, the CEO of the Colonial Metals Group. They're the only folks I trust when it comes to dealing in precious metals. Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back.
This is the Roger Stone Show.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Shopping is hard.
I can never find anything in my size.
I don't even know my size.
I buy my clothes the same place I buy my groceries.
There's a better way. Make it easy with Stitch Fix. Just share your size, style, budget, and done. Your personal stylist sends pieces picked just for you.
That was easy.
Stitch Fix. Online personal styling for everyone. Free shipping and returns. No subscription required. Get started today at StitchFix.com.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
Oh my God, it's the coolest thing ever. Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? Well, check this out. It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. Seriously. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump.
They went after a guy named Roger Stone, who's sitting in the office. And I'll say this in front of Roger, he's no baby. And right now, he's cleaner than anybody in this place. No, they treated him very unfairly.
All of these presidents relied on one man to secure their seat in the Oval Office. That man is Roger Stone.
Roger Stone.
This is the Roger Stone Show, presented by Colonial Metals Group. Now, here's Roger Stone.
And we're back. Coming up shortly, Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee. He has recently involved in the public hearings in the U.S. Congress regarding UFOs. Although we don't call them that anymore. Now we call them unidentified anomalous phenomena, whatever that means. But you're not going to want to miss that. Now we return to Paul Stone of the Colonial Metals Group. Clients choose to work with your company, Paul, because you guys excel at helping people maximize their retirement assets and their savings through the secure and effective planning of purchasing and I would just say, diversifying their portfolio with precious metals like gold and silver. So in the wake of this election, are you still as bullish on gold and silver as you were just a few days ago?
Absolutely. And, I'd like to just offer that, let's say truly Donald Trump, President Trump, would be coming to manage the country and did have some secret sauce that no other presidential candidate option contained. Like he had a brilliant secret mathematical recipe in his mind that only he knew how to deploy, that would literally just melt away debt, ramp up revenue, and exterminate the unnecessary and inefficient parts of government with a snap of his fingers. I would be absolutely honest with the people, and I would let them know I was taking my good fortune off into finding a new venture and representing something else. I do enjoy being in the role of solving a problem for people. That's what I love about gold and silver. It solves a problem. But President Trump doesn't have that. No human has. And math doesn't care about your feelings and your thoughts and your beliefs. Math is its own thing, its own language. And the only thing that makes good math is good math. So if you keep chasing bad math with bad math, it just continues to worsen. So there is no human will force, that grit that got Donald Trump back to the White House, that can bend math. So we have to look at things very clearly. If Kamala had won, you would continue to see absolute disarray, no intended management towards a better situation. You would continue to see the same old continuing on another 4 years, maybe a bit more rabid and causing this erosion that's been happening since the turn of the century, our financial erosion that's been happening since 1997, to worsen faster. And you would have your bust. Eventually, Mother Nature says, you're done. The math is it's over. You're an overcrowded deer population. That's why you're all getting hit by cars running down the road. That's literally what the end result of all of this money printing leads to. It leads to a currency that is dead. You can say whatever you want from the podium. You can think whatever you want. You write whatever you want. Math doesn't care. It's its own language. It doesn't respond to the verbal English, Spanish, German, French, Russian, Chinese, Mandarin language. It doesn't care. It's its own thing. So when we see Donald Trump come to the White House, we now see an intention to manage us to a better result. However, I'm sure everyone in your audience is I'm talking to the crowd that walked uphill to school both directions in the snow and in the rain, right? So we know truth. 10 miles down the wrong road, 10 miles back, just to get to zero. We could also look at it as if, what is the army Donald Trump will be fighting? He'll be fighting 2.3 million workers, employees of the federal government. He'll be fighting a $1.4 trillion sized payroll. Now, just to give you an idea of something nearby that size, Walmart employs 1.6 million people, part-time, full-time, in the United States. They're producing $560 billion in revenue for the year. The U.S. government, with a close-by sized employee force, is ripping through $7 trillion U.S. dollars a year. The government is on the destruction side of the books. Walmart, as an example, as a business, is on the production side, the creation side. So Donald Trump, with his creative mind, has to come and fight an army that destroys. How does he get rid of that? If he does cut, if Elon and Vivek can cut, then the economy is just going out fuel it needs to exist as it did yesterday. So if you were to, say, cut $2 trillion out of a $7 trillion spend for the year and pretend that $7 trillion in spend allows the economy to live down here at the surface, right, and we get all the oxygen, financial oxygen we need, we have a high, rich source or element of oxygen to breathe on, right, and you cut $2 trillion out of that 7, that would be like pushing the economy up to live at an altitude of 16,500 feet. Now, if you're flying, when you're above 10,000 feet, the air gets too thin for us to breathe oxygen, get enough oxygen in to stay awake, right? And higher than that, you actually would start dying. So it's a major stressor. So the point of all this is Donald Trump has the intention to manage us to a better situation, but there will be pain. There's pain either way. You either just allow the bus to blow up someday, maybe 2-3 years from now, if Kamala was still in charge, was going to win the White House, or it's perhaps a gut-wrenching financial pain that can cause the economy. What's lofty about the economy? The real estate world, the financial world. Why? Because of all the printed money, the excess of it ends up there, causing you to think we're financially strong. I hear this news about Trump's dollar. Trump doesn't have a dollar. America has a dollar. The government prints the hell out of that dollar. The Federal Reserve does, causing it to die. But that's what inflates everything. Had any human being be able to stop that money printing because they had some secret recipe to be able to do it, it would already happen, because imagine how great that would have been for re-election. Oh, I killed the debt. We don't owe $35 trillion anymore. We owe 10. The economy is booming. Wages up 300%. That would cause that party to win re-election forever. That's the strongest financial economic news you could ever claim from the podium. Why hasn't anyone been able to stop the money printing? Because the economy is demanding that money or it is dead. That's why. So Trump, Elon Musk, Vivek, all the bright minds, Larry Kudlow, everyone that's involved to try and help make things better, you have to add good math to the bad math, and that's going to be financial pain. You got to look at the instability of our system today, of where your money is located, and this is the clearest point I can make. All of your savings, your salaries, whatever you've got, however you think your whatever you're worth, is valued in what? The dollar. The dollar's been under attack for many decades. That attack can't just stop because someone has a magic wand. So it continues. Oh, my God. Well, won't the dollar be worth nothing at some point if we're looking at this math story? Exactly. It's worth 2.7 cents today. It's losing an average of 2 pennies a year, which means next year it's worth somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 penny, 0.7 of a penny. Oh, my God. Well, what happens the year after that? Well, then it's worth 1/10 of a penny. Well, yeah, then eventually a Starbucks is $40. Oh, my God. So the currency can be mutilated and then eventually be worthless. Wouldn't you rather have your dollar-based savings in gold and silver or something outside of the dollar as this bus nears the cliff's edge and eventually goes off the cliff? Mathematically speaking, that's what happened to Rome, Spain, Portugal, the Dutch, French, and the British, the reserve currency countries before us. So it is imperative for people to understand, catch your breath now. You're not under assault with men on women's sports teams. You're not going to see financing for people to change their sex at 10 years old. All of that's going to stop. The border's going to get locked down. Catch your breath, but understand succinctly that this math problem only worsens unless someone manages it to a better situation. And either way, there's a ton of pain.
All right, we have to leave.